Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone from around the world. This is the Workspot webinar. It's the first one of 2025. So Mark and I are pretty excited about that. We do these webinars at least once a month to share all the latest updates. And every once in a while in between there, we do new features and customer highlights and so forth. But these webinars, we've tightened them up and we do them in 30 minutes. We want to make sure we have something that's really good use of your time, okay? And we do today. It's a great new webinar. It's all new material. And so I'm glad you guys registered and you're joining us today. If you have questions, put them in the question box, all right? So today, the highlight and the theme and the title is Reduce VDI Costs by 80% with a platform that unifies the enterprise browser with DAS and DEX. Well, that's quite a mouthful, but every word is surgically chosen and it means something very specific. We're gonna share that with you today. Now, I am Brad Peterson, field CTO, and have been at Workspot for 8 years. It's an amazing ride, amazing product company. We have so many great customers, and we're here for you to answer your questions and share this information today. Now, I'm coming from sunny California, although it did get down to 39 degrees last night, but the world is warming up. And joining me, of course, is Mark Callahan. Hey, Mark.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar. I'm coming in from bitter cold Massachusetts on the opposite coast from Brad, but the sun is out and spring is not far away.
That's the attitude. Good for you, man. All right, so hey, let's jump right in. You know what the agenda for the day is? This. We want to take a look at the current EUC market and the challenges that are there that facing everybody, right? Prospects, partners, customers, the whole world is really going through an interesting change, and we're going to talk about that in great detail. Also, of course, we're going to highlight Workspot's purpose-built platform that we talked about in the title. It combines an enterprise browser with not only VDI/DAS, but also the DEX. It's got that user experience and observability that is completely built in. We're going to show you all the advantages of that, and we're going to do live demonstrations as we always do, and there might even be a free pilot offer at the end. So make sure you stick around with us, okay? All right, so what we know is this. You guys are facing this crazy world right now where VDI isn't really what it used to be. The companies have shifted their offerings, their pricing, their terms, and so forth has really caused an upheaval in the market, and folks are coming to us every day asking for an alternative. All right, and so this is a crazy world out there. We have sharpened the pencil and figured out a way to highlight our technology that allows you to not only save tons of money, but also make sure your end users are super happy. And those are the two messages we're going to push through all day long. Now, like I said, if you guys have questions, fire away. I'm going to see them over here. We're going to handle them as we go. We're not going to wait till the end. Fire them when you have them. And by the way, I'll have a question for you too. And let's start off with that now. So how would you characterize your VDI environment, okay? Now, this is a single button right there. So pick one that makes sense. Are you guys doing all app vert today or all desktop vert? Is it a little even mix? Is it mostly this? Is it mostly that? Just pick the button that actually makes the most sense for you, and we'll take that information and kind of apply that as we go through today, okay? So we're gonna see if it's a mix of this and that. Now, I do have to upgrade this polling question in the future because there's also the notion of browser-based experiences, because we're gonna talk about that with our enterprise browser that we do have, okay? And so lock all your vote in there. We got a couple more people that are gonna pop in their votes here. Go ahead and pop that in. And as you guys do, I'm gonna go ahead and close those polls and then share those results, okay? So let's share that quick. So look at this, 40% are all desktop, and we got an even little mix here. 30% are an even mix of this, and it seems like it's leaning a little toward more desktops than apps, which is interesting. That's really cool to see. Now, the last question I'll ask you guys before we move on is, where do you host this environment, or where do you want to host this environment? Is it on-prem? Is it in Azure, Google? Is it Amazon? Is it somewhere else? Let us know where that not only is today, but you can even say, this is really what I want to do. And by the way, this is multiple choice. I want to be on-prem and in AWS or GCP or Azure or here or there. Click all the ones that apply. okay? And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a look at that mix too. So we know we've got folks kind of leaning toward desktops and then some apps, okay? So that's what we got from the earlier poll. So let's go ahead and, oh, wow, the voting is still going, man. People are cranking away on those buttons. Good, thank you, keep going. And boy, let's take a look at this now. I'm gonna close this out and share those results. And what we're gonna have from that is, wow, 67 on Azure, 60 in the corporate or the colo data center on-prem, a ton of folks in AWS, and a little GCP. Now this is good because we're going to have this interesting free pilot that we have later on that will be very interesting to many of you. All right, so what do you think of those results there, Mark?
Yeah, interesting to see the colo number there is higher than we typically see it. The other ones, the Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud, those fall in line with typically what we see, but it's great to see a mix across the board.
Yeah, and every once in a while we do see an other in there, but not this time, so that's cool. This audience is mighty well behaved. All right, okay, so let's go on from there. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to take a look at that current EUC market that's out there today, and it's essentially a VDI storm. Now, if you guys are all VDI experts, like, you know, I've kind of been in this market for 20 years now. Mark's probably about the same. You know, basically this stack on the left, you guys are super familiar with. This is historically the way VDI has been built. You go into the data center and you build out your infrastructure, your servers, the storage, the networking, and so forth. You throw a hypervisor on top of that, and then you throw your VDI stack in. And you have to have a way to connect to it securely, and then you want a way to monitor it. So as you take a look at this stack, this involves kind of a lot of vendors. And if you're doing it on-prem, it's all you. It's a CapEx expenditure. You build the whole thing out before you even launch the first desktop, you know? And so the beauty of the cloud is here, and the beauty of other things are here. We're going to talk about those today, but we know the pain that you feel right now in many cases is with the VDI stack being more expensive and being owned by, you know, a private equity firm, as well as the hypervisor stack is the same, okay? Those are the things that are expensive. And if you locked into another 3-year contract, many folks that had tells us, well, it's probably the last time I'll do that. And I'm looking for alternatives. So what happens when these folks are looking for alternatives? Well, oftentimes they'll take that stack and they'll go after point solutions. So they might say, you know what, a bunch of my virtualized desktops and apps, if I look at the app side, those are actually browser-based apps and so forth. So I can make those available through an enterprise browser. So they'll look at Island. And then they'll say, okay, but you know what, my apps and desktops, I can pop those into the cloud possibly. And if I go in to do Amazon or Win365 or AVD, then I can make those available out of the cloud. And so that's another choice. And I don't have to pick a hypervisor either, right? So that's pretty cool. Now, but if I do that, oftentimes if I'm doing AVD, I'm going to need Nerdio to watch my expenses. Otherwise, I'm going to have some urban sprawl on my VMs and it's going to go out of control. And then my users and, you know, the performance and my ability to support this thing is going to be, and I'll be in the blind unless I pull in a DEX app like ControlUp or Lakeside or others, right? And so that is what we are seeing when we talk to customers. We get in the field and we engage with them. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this, and many times folks don't realize this, is these point solutions really represent Workspot. Workspot started 10 years ago and was an enterprise browser company. That was the first offering that we had architecturally, and we added in VDI support, and then certainly we're the first to come out with DAS support in Azure, and then AWS and GCP right now, right? And we've gone to great lengths to make sure that our DEX ability is built into the system with Workspot Watch and Trends, and this allows us to tighten up costs like you wouldn't believe. And provide that FinOps capability that is required when you move into the cloud. And if you have that, the advantages of being in the cloud are incredible over being on-prem. Okay, now don't get me wrong, Workspot supports VDI on-prem, but we also support DAS in the cloud, and we can show you some interesting math as to why that is something that you want to consider. Okay, now before we do that, let me ask you one more question, and that is, what are your biggest issues with VDI? Okay, so cost, complexity, security. Now this is multiple choice, so pick the top 2 or 3 that really make the most sense to you, okay? Now, years and years ago, it was security. That's all it was. It was security, and no matter what else, it's like whatever. But you know, a couple of these other ones have really come to the forefront, and we'll see how this poll actually comes out. So is it security? Is it's too complicated? Am I having a tough time hiring talented, skilled resources in this area. I need it to be more simple. Well, what about those end users? Do I care about those end users as well? So which of these really makes the most sense for you as you're driving this decision right now going forward, okay? And so, like I said, top 2 or 3, even though they're all important, pick the top 2 or 3, and then we'll see how the rest of the group is chiming in. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and close the poll and share those results. Okay, and what we have is this. This is what I expected. User experience becomes #1, and I'm gonna tell you why in just a minute. This is very consistent in the last several months. And then cost and complexity are most important. Look at this, security. Now, everybody knows security has to be there, right? It's just that these others are taking the forefront, and that is for sure. So, hey, Mark, what are your thoughts on these results?
Yeah, the cost is definitely definitely forefront, like you mentioned. Complexity. It's interesting to see that complexity ranks so high this time. That typically is usually a little bit lower down. And then user experience. That's great to see, because I think Workspot, we can provide a lot of visibility into that deck. So good mix of issues that we're seeing from folks today. I think we can solve a lot of those.
Oh, sure. Now, complexity, I would see there because folks just want it simpler, and they might be having trouble hiring the skilled talent anymore. A lot of folks are retiring. And so the interesting thing about the rest of the presentation is we're going to talk about cost and user experience. These are the areas we're going to focus on. These are the outcomes we are going to drive for you. And by the way, user experience is vitally important these days. You can work from anywhere. So this means any employee you have could grab another job with any company in the world, not just those in the 50-mile radius of their home. So now it becomes even more important to hang on to your employees and keep them happy and productive. And that makes a lot of sense. And cost is always an issue. Let's go ahead and look at both of those, okay? All right, so we're going back into here. Now, remember, Workspot is this purpose-built platform that offers all these capabilities. And when you talk about that and you think about the client that's provided, well, that client is going to give you everything that you need in that space. If you want browser-based experiences, you click on those icons and Workspot's enterprise browser opens up for you, and you attach to that. Now, it's beautiful because there's no VDI infrastructure there, is there? It's an enterprise browser. And if you need apps or desktops that are virtualized either on-prem or in various clouds, those are going to be available to you through this integrated, unified workspace that you see right here. Okay, now from here, let's go into what I was just sharing and what came out in the survey. Like, how do we cut costs, keep the CFO happy, and how do we give those end users great experience, keep the end users happy? Well, let's start from the bottom. This cloud-native foundation that we have puts together this unified DaaS architecture, and it supports VDI on-prem too. But the DaaS architecture is like desktops and apps out of the cloud combined with enterprise browser. Well, if you combine all that together, you start to save some crazy money. So in the live demos, Mark Callahan is going to show you Workspot Control. That's how you provision and monitor, manage, and so forth. And Workspot Client, the previous screen that I showed you, how you consume these resources. Now, if you go right above that in this other stack above, how do you know what's happening in the system? How do you control it? How do you monetize it and so forth? Well, unified DEX, FinOps, and AI is provided to you through Workspot Watch and Trends. Watch is real-time analysis and Trends is trend analysis over time. We're going to show you live demonstrations, controlling the system, consuming these resources, real-time alarms, trend analysis across the whole thing so that we can stay on top of every single cost that you have and drive those costs down. Now, how in the world could it be up to 90% cost reduction? Well, it is. And I'm going to tell you, just the sort of the punchline here is replacing VDI infrastructure with enterprise browser where you can, tons of savings. Launching infrastructure in the cloud just in time and just enough. No more over provisioning means perfectly provisioned, saving another ton of cash right there as well. The CFO is going to be very happy with this. And the AI models that we have in place allowing and supporting this are things that you're actually going to love for sure. Okay, and then best end user experience. We're going to go into great details on that as well. Okay, so that really sets up the rest of the presentation. Okay, so let's go from there. Now, when we dive into these details here of the happy CFO, we're talking about the utilization in many cases here. If you're on-prem, pretty much building out your orchestration and your infrastructure that's on-prem, you have to build this out to your peak load. So an hour or two during the day, you might be hitting peak load on that, but for the rest of the day and certainly nights and weekends, you're not even using that infrastructure. So you might be getting 10, 15, 20, 25% utilization. I think 25 would be high, actually. More like 15% data center utilization. The rest of that CapEx you're spending is, not spent well. Now, if you do this in the cloud with Workspot, with our just-in-time and our just-enough and our alarms and our excess capacity and all these details we're going to go into in a minute, you're going to find yourself saving, like I said, 70, 80, 90% in some cases based on that intelligent capability in the cloud. And we have customers doing it already. In fact, as you go through this and you start doing your own numbers, we can connect you with some of our customers and tell you how they're actually seeing these benefits. Now, on the right-hand side, the happy users, well, not only being reactive to issues they have instantly and knowing what's happening so you can fix that problem, but even being proactive, getting ahead of them. Taking a look at trends and patterns and fixing things before they even become a problem is huge with these folks too. And you want to keep those users happy. So we're going to go into great detail on both of these columns here, okay? Now on that side of data center utilization, as we talked about before, very low utilization overall. You got to build it out and so on. But if you get onto the Workspot side over here, what you're actually going to have is the cost models that really help you, which is essentially the just in time and the just enough, okay? And so we're going to see a little of that in the live demonstration. Then I'm going to give you a working model as we go forward also, all right? So let's go on to take a look at, what this looks and feels like. So on the enterprise browser side, you can eliminate VDI infrastructure altogether. You're not going to virtualize a browser and launch that to someone. You're going to actually instead, no VDI, provide them the Workspot enterprise browser, which comes within the Workspot client. And from that, they're going to consume all the SaaS apps out in public, as well as the private enterprise web apps that you have as well. Anything that's got a URL can be deployed, secured, managed, monitored all through that enterprise browser. Isn't that a nice thing? And you can see if you're running on your laptop out here in the world, the Workspot client has the enterprise browser built in, but it also has VDI and DAS capability built in. It's the same thing. It's that unified client. It's all built together. Okay, now creating these happy users that we talked about through DAS, DEX that's built in, plus AI intelligence. Well, look what we have here. Look at this end-to-end architecture here. You can see the three dark bubbles here. We've got the client, the Workspot client, runs out on the end device. We've got the gateway. Secure connection comes in, talks into the gateway, and then that talks to the agent that's running on the VM. So those are three areas. We have, software, executables, agents, monitoring every 30 seconds. They're doing tons of data collection, and they're pushing this all up into our data lake in the cloud. And once that's available, now we've got real-time alarms going, we've got trend analysis, we've got reactive and proactive problem resolution like you've never seen before. And so we are crafting this and looking across all of our customers to make sure that resolution to problems is minutes and not hours and so forth. And then everything we watch in there, we continue to tune and tighten up. And we're even allowing customers who solve particular problems to publish those more of a public place that's obfuscated so that other customers can benefit from that as well. It's like a community, man. It's crazy. So you're going to love the benefits here, and the the users are very happy. The users are happy because their VMs are ready instantly and they're powerful, just powerful enough. And if they have a problem, it gets resolved in record time. All right. Now, to modernize VDI, into the world of DAS with DEX, we have these three products that you can see here. So control, you're going to see this live demo now, right? Control is there to actually provision all of this and set it all up, and then watch and trends is real-time and trend analysis. And you can see it's our cloud services that connect into your data centers or into GCP, AWS, or Azure clouds and regions globally around the world. So it is always publishing these VMs and resources, and it's pulling information up into our data lake in the cloud. It's doing web and Windows management, persistent or non-persistent Windows and Linux desktops. You can see the whole thing, okay? And with this and all these clouds, we do have customers that are taking advantage of, best of breed, right? So this cloud is better at that. This region is closer to me. I don't want cloud lock-in. I want to make sure my M365 licenses work wherever I need them. And I need proximity, so my resource is as close to my end user globally, wherever they are in the world. We do this all the time. And I want to have as much uptime as I can. Our global desktop gives you failover between these clouds also, okay? Well, I think that's enough warm up right there, and it's time to go and take a look. So we are now going to pass it over to Mark, and Mark's going to show us a little bit of control and client and watch and trends, just as we have described. So take it away, Mark.
All right, thanks, Brad. So this is Workspot Control. This is where the IT team manages everything that Brad just described. So you can see here, this is our demo site, and we're plugged into all the different clouds here. We're also plugged into our Colo data center as well. So as the IT administrator, I see it all right here. I don't have to go into different portals and do different things. I can very quickly come in and create a pool of machines, whether it's Windows or Linux. I can create app pools. So maybe users just need, Excel. They don't need a full desktop. I can do all that here. I can apply policies. So, what should users be able to do? Can they copy and paste? Can they see their local drives? Can they print? And then even take that a step further and say, well, if they're in the office, they can print, but if they're at home, they shouldn't be able to print. So really granular security controls are provided through Workspot Control. In addition, there's posture checks. So for Windows endpoints, we can check for things like firewall, antivirus, location, is it a corporate device? So that way for machines that maybe you don't own, maybe they're BYO or you're using, you're doing some sort of outsourced BPO, you can check those machines and make sure that they meet that minimum threshold to connect to a desktop, connect to an app, connect to a secure browser. So very powerful. Workspot Watch, this is for real-time monitoring and observability. So I can see across all of the different clouds that we're plugged into and my on-prem data center, and then see real-time what's happening. And then I even look at things like, map views and say, show me where the errors are coming from. So maybe there's a branch location or a cloud region or, a specific geography where you're seeing issues from. Workspot Watch shows you that. And then you can look at, specific user sessions. So if a user calls in and they are, experiencing an issue, as the help desk administrator, I can come in and see in real time what's happening with that user. I can see things like what's their latency, where are they coming from, what are the processes and metrics on that machine. So very powerful tools to be able to see real time what's happening, identify those issues, and then make sure that you get that user back up and running. So Workspot Trends, this is going to show things like user sentiment. Are my users happy? Additional metrics, so you can look at pool by pool or user by user, see what's happening with their machine. And then based on the sentiment, if you have a group of unhappy users, you can compare those to happy users and then see things like what is their CPU utilization, their memory utilization, their latency, their bandwidth, to identify what are some of the correlating factors that are contributing to these users who are happy versus these users who are not. You can look at things like login experience. How long did it take these users to actually connect? And again, look at that either by user, by pool, and then provide those comparisons to identify where is there kind of a glitch in the matrix. From the user perspective, this is the Workspot client that Brad mentioned. So it's all built in together. So here I have some virtual machines that are available to me. I have published SAP here. I have some secure browser links that I can use. And as the user, I just authenticate once, and then whatever's been provisioned to me by the IT team is made available here. So if I click here, here's that posture check I was talking about. So it's checking for things, antivirus, firewall. And then when I click continue, it's going to go out. It's going to start up my desktop in this case, connect me to it, and then I'll be able to do my work. So very easy, very powerful as a user. And then for the IT team, lots of metrics, lots of things to help identify where those issues are, with the goal of keeping that user very happy, but also keeping the CFO happy with provisioning just in time, just enough on that end. Brad, I'll hand it back to you.
All right. Well, I thank you for that. I love that live demo for sure. People get a little feel for what it takes, what it looks like, and how to experience. It's all a browser-based experience, of course. You can do it from anywhere, and super simplified and yet massively powerful. Now, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll take a look at an example of that for a particular sort of application. Okay. So now look at this stack on the left-hand side here. So we're going to take a look at control and watch and trends and how to apply that towards some real savings. Okay. So what does just in time mean? Just in time means, my warm-up policies. How do I make sure that I'm not running VMs in the cloud when I shouldn't be? Okay, so I have to actually predict when people are going to come online and when they actually want their VM. Well, I can actually set warm-up policies so that it stays a few VMs ahead as people are coming in and demanding, they're launching either their persistent or non-persistent desktop or their applications. Okay, and so just-in-time provisioning will save you all sorts of money. All right, now when we go through this full stack, you're going to see just-in-time, real-time alarms, access, AI-driven, and just enough provisioning. These things all combine together to optimize your consumption. And essentially what you want to do is this. You only want to pay for what you're using in the cloud or clouds that you're using in regions and so forth, but you also don't want to delay the end user. So we monitor the connection time, all right? And so what you're going to find here is that connection time is like 10 seconds. So that's good. End users like that. They want to be connected and working in 10 seconds. Now they're happy, right? But at the same time, you don't want to launch a bunch of VMs that are just waiting for folks to show up. So you want to make sure it's just in time and just enough, but that it comes when it needs to, and then it disappears when it doesn't, okay? Now, the next step, the first thing is just in time. Let's control this and configure this with our warm-up policies in control, okay? And then in watch, we're gonna take a look at what's going on. Well, pausing, by the way, pausing is like hibernating your laptop, right? What that means is it actually dumps all the memory and so forth to the hard drive, and it's not using the VM anymore. That's good. That means you stop paying for that VM when the user's not working, and yet it's still capturing and saving state. That's a good thing. But if it doesn't do that, imagine you have 1,000 users and you pause them all. Well, it turns out about 5 of those aren't going to get paused because sort of a glitch in the machine, as Mark was talking about. They're not going to be paused. And you need to know about that. So these errors come up in real time in Workspot Watch, and we let you know so you can go in there and make sure you pause those things because, things happen. And we want to make sure you don't find out at the end of the month, okay? And then we have the notion of, did you provision enough or not enough or too much? What was your prediction and so forth? And now with this, you can see the excess capacity. So that blue line is what's being used, but the red line is all the excess capacity. So I can go into this and I can see, oh, I over predicted and I under predicted and so forth. And when you flatten out the red line, that means you're paying for nothing more than what you're actually using to keep your users productive. So we let you know that, okay? And then we go to this next one here. Wow, check this out. AI-driven usage forecasting. Okay, so what you've got here is the blue is the active users, so you can see the blue curves here. And then historical forecasting is the orange in this case. Now, look at this interesting week here. You can see 5 days. Historical forecasting was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and nothing on Thursday, and then a little chunk over here on Friday, right? And boy, that's tough because what happened was Thanksgiving last week, no one was working. So it predicted that again, all right? But nope, everybody came in the next week and they worked. And you can see that's going on here, and the forecasting is going out here. So now you're really closed loop tuning the forecasting and the warm-up policies to be exactly what you need. So the users aren't waiting and you're not paying for too much, okay? And that takes us to just enough provisioning. This is the heat map. This is 24 hours a day for 7 days a week. And if you look at this, pretty straightforward. You got your days here and your hours, right? And the super red is where your users were powering through their VMs and using their applications. And where it's not super bright, that's where they're not using it at all. Well, in a data center, you're paying for this entire block all the time. But in the cloud, if you do it right with the right forecasting and the closed loop tuning and the AI that we apply, you will literally only pay for what you need, and you will give your users VMs within 10 seconds of them asking. That is the holy grail, okay? And when you do that, you're gonna see that you're gonna save so much money. Take a look at these examples here, contact center, AEC, energy, and so forth. It's pennies per hour to do this if you do it in the right way. And if you do have a power user that's running all day long, fine, give them $55 a month for their full VM. Now they can use it nights and weekends and it's not running on the meter, but if they're a partial user, you use it for a lot less time, and that's a good thing, okay? All right, so just remember, Workspot is this unified platform that gives you the whole shebang all the way through. You don't have to go to point solutions. And the last thing I want to share with you guys is the fact that we do have this free pilot in here. If you scan that QR code, and I saw a lot of you guys are using AWS, well, this is in conjunction with Workspot and AWS, providing this free pilot, 30 days, 200 seats, scan the QR code, and away you go. And the last thing, the very last thing that I'll do is just launch one more question for you guys. And thank you for joining us today. And then, why don't you tell us, how can we best follow up with you? I know we jammed a lot of this into 30 minutes. We can do a follow-up meeting with you guys. We can share the pilot with you. We can give you some recordings or additional material. What's best is you tell us how you want us to engage with you, and we will follow up with you accordingly, right? It's the beauty in these polls, right? And yes, and I did get Sergey asking me if he could get a copy of the slides. Well, I tell you what, Sergey, we're going to have this whole recording available for you, and it's going to be online later this afternoon. I'll send you the link. I'll send everybody the link. And from there, also, what I'll do is you guys can send me any requests for any questions or any content that you need, including the slides here, which was reach out to me at brad@workspot.com. Super easy to find me, and I'd love to talk to you guys, okay? All right, so let me close that poll there and wrap things up here right on time. Boy, it is 8:30 a.m. in California. I think it's 11:30 in Boston. Is that right, Mark?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and thanks everybody for joining today. It's a great session, and yeah, any questions, reach out to us. We'd love to talk more about this.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We do this all the time. We'll send you more invitations for more webinars in the future, but don't wait until then. If you have questions, not only brad@workspot.com, but check out our website and certainly don't hesitate to reach out and call and email. All right. So thanks, everyone. I think that's a wrap for today. Just want to let you know that the recording is on its way, and we will see you all soon. Happy New Year. Enjoy 2025. It's going to be a great year. I can feel it already. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.